Our world is driven by speed. 2-day shipping, fast download speeds, freaky fast deliveries. If we want something, we're used to getting it almost immediately. Got a question? Just Google it. Have a more complex question? Now you can use ChatGPT. But what about the old school method of knowing something? Books. Where does reading fit into a world shaped by immediacy and simplicity? You see, information in books can't be downloaded and installed into our brain like a scene out of The Matrix. Books require you sit down, slow down, and read them. Sure, you can look up Spark Notes or read summaries, but nothing replaces reading the actual material itself. The details, the quotes, the reasoning, it's all within the pages. And you can't find that in some condensed summary or recap video. That's just surface level learning, and it won't help you if you find yourself in a deeper intellectual discussion on the topic. But with that said, our culture demands speed, right? So we listen to audiobooks on 2x speed, we try speed reading techniques, and we're eager to announce to the world how many books we've read as if there's a trophy on the other side of that Instagram post. But when it comes to books, is reading faster actually a good thing? It depends. Would you rather read 100 books and understand none of them, or read one book and truly comprehend it front to back? Reading is not a contest of speed, quantity, or ego. Anyone can skim through passages and read the words on the page, but few can intelligently read as Mortimer Adler would describe it. Few can investigate the question the author is trying to answer, analyze the themes underlying the novel, and thoroughly engage with the concepts within the book. And this level of reading requires that you adjust your pace, and your pace should be dependent on you as the individual, but also on the type of work you're reading. For example, fiction books or more modern texts, they're probably going to be a little bit easier to read, so you can read them a little bit faster. Whereas a 18th century translated philosophical text is probably going to slow you down big time. And I found that this happens a lot myself when I go from one writer to another, one thinker to another, book to book. It can vary a lot. So like when I'm reading Camus or I'm reading Dostoevsky, I can kind of read them at a moderate pace. I might slow down sometimes, but generally at a moderate pace. But when I switch over to a more dense book like Kant or Hegel or even Spinoza's Ethics, I start to slow down big time because the concepts are a lot harder, the ideas are more abstract, and they just require you to go at it a lot slower. Think about the words on the page, think about the concepts, and just take your time. And speaking of taking your time, it's important to assess what is your goal with reading. Is it to check a box and read as much material as possible? Or is it to chew on every page, digest it, and try and comprehend every nuanced idea within the text? Especially with nonfiction or philosophical texts, if you try and rush through them, you sacrifice the opportunity to engage with the author, engage with the ideas, and try and actually absorb as much as possible. Edmund Burke said to read without reflecting is like eating without digesting. And I will note that some books, they're just going to be extremely confusing and challenging no matter how slow you read them. And so my strategy has always been to just get through it. Not rush, but not get fixated on every little chapter or every section that has me just puzzled. Because I know that once I get through the text, I can come back on a second read and I'll have a much better chance at understanding the parts that were originally confusing to me. And this is a technique that was reinforced once I read Mortimer Adler's How to Read a Book, where he described this exact concept. In tackling a difficult book for the first time, read it through without ever stopping to look up or ponder the things you do not understand right away. This method prevents you from feeling defeated when you're only a few chapters in, and by working through it and noticing some of the different ideas and concepts on the first pass, once you go and reread the work, you can start to see where things are headed, where things are going, make some connections, and like I said, have a much better chance at actually understanding the work that you're reading. Another important note to make is that you should be reading for your own curiosity and for your own sake. It shouldn't be to show off how many books you've read, as if some arbitrary number equates to a specific level of intellect or superiority. And I find myself falling into this trap, not from the avenue of trying to prove myself or show off my intellect, but more so trying to chase this idea of being well read, because you look at this endless catalog of philosophical and literary texts, there's so many thinkers, there's so many books, and I just feel like I'm never going to read them all or reach this, illusory title of being well read that gets thrown around. Which, what does that even mean? It really doesn't mean anything. It's not like you read a certain amount of books, you read them in a certain order, and you have achieved well read status. I'm sure decades from now I will feel more well read than I currently do, but at the end of the day, the beauty in reading is that there's always more to learn. There's always more to read. There's always opinions to change and ideas to explore. It's an endless journey of discovery, and that's the beauty in it. So with that in mind, trying to rush to reach a certain amount of pages you read a day or books you read a year, it's not to your benefit if your goal is to get the most out of the book that you're reading. And I mean, this even ties to the idea of why are philosophical books so short? It's because each page contains such dense material that you could only read 3, 4, 5 pages of it and ponder that idea the entire day. Think about those concepts for hours. So that's just something to think about when it comes to how you approach these works, how do you adjust your pace, and again, assessing what is your goal, what is your purpose for reading in the first place. All in all, I'm not trying to shame any fast readers out there. If anything, I'm trying to lift up the slow readers like myself. Because like I said, reading is about discovery and learning. And unlike everything else in society, its value is not derived from speed or some objective measure. So hopefully you guys got something out of this video. Please do share your thoughts down below. How does your pace change from book to book? Is there a certain book that slowed you down big time, or something that has helped you as far as reading these books in a more timely manner? What are your strategies? Let me know in the comments below. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe for more content like this, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.